right, Bill. Well, listen, I got Micah calling in on the other line, and for the second part of the show, I really wanted to talk about, and we've discussed this before, but I really wanted to talk about what's going on with this Prostaff situation. And I feel that having you on here to kind of first give a little background on it in general. I still think there's people that don't really understand what it is yet, and they talk about it. So I think it's good to have you kind of explain what it's about, coming from a big business owner like you with YakGear, kind of ease into it and where maybe some of the issues lie. And I know Micah has some thoughts on it as well, and he's been in the industry for years. He's worked with you, so I think there's a lot to talk about with it, and let me get Micah in real quick.
How's it going?
Captain Micah.
How you doing, Joe? Good to talk to you. Bill, how's
I'm good,
man.
I'm living the dream. Bill, you're still there, right?
Yeah, Mr. Simoneaux, I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, well, you move down here to Florida, and you just kind of hide out in paradise sometimes.
All right, so I'm going to start this up. This is the first time, by the way, we've had multiple callers on here, so we're going to get used to it pretty quick. So I'll kind of lead the way with you guys, and then we'll kind of go back and forth. But I'll kind of want to start with Bill. So, Bill, what's the background on Prostaff when you first got into the industry and we're building all this up? What exactly is it for people that don't understand exactly what it is?
With YakGear, we actually call them brand ambassadors. But in the boating industry for years and years and years, there were always people that represented your company. When they're out on the water, when they're involved in groups, when they're at events, they sort of proudly wear your badge. And for us with YakGear and a developing sport like kayak angling, it made sense for us to have people out in the field sharing what we do with other people in the public that were just starting to get into the industry or get into paddle sports, especially kayak angling. So our brand ambassador program started roughly about 10 years ago, which was 2 years after YakGear came to be. So,
Micah, what was your first experience with Prostaff? Was it with working with Bill, or how was that for you right in the beginning? I just want to start all this from the beginning and kind of work our way to what it's become.
Right. All right. Well, my experience, with Prostaff is actually coming from the ground up. Kayak angling in a community with a group of friends, and started to get involved in a tournament. You go to a meetup, you go to an event, you go to a charity fish off, whatever it may be, and you get introduced to people who are pro staff, who are there, kind of promoting a company, or they're participating and just kind of letting it be known that they're part of the pro staff. And so that was my initial introduction to it, and then actually was a member of of several pro staff teams for quite a bit of time actually, and then moved on as the marketing director with YakGear, actually helping manage pro staff teams. So I've kind of seen pro staff come, being involved in it, to helping run them and helping maintain them. So it's a little bit of an interesting. It's basically just a marketing strategy, and it's definitely an interesting marketing strategy to discuss.
Right. So my question is, and I'll give this to Bill first. My question is, I think there's kind of two different, what's the word? I guess pro staffs that we're talking about. Like, I feel that there's the one side where it's like a bunch of like hundreds of people for this one company, and then there's like someone like you, Bill, who had a certain amount of guys, a small number. A quality number that was more quality other than quantity. Do you think that it's changed? Do you think that there's something? Is there a reason why people are getting frustrated with it? I guess is my question. And what's the change that you've seen?
Well, we've always, when we first started the program, we had probably 20, and then actually under some of Micah's guidance, we added a number more, and we're right at 34 brand ambassadors. And we've never really gone over, that 30 to 35 number has always been a very good number for us. And for me, a brand ambassador is truly an ambassador of the sport first. Someone who shares his passions about what he does with other people. A number of our brand ambassadors work very closely with Heroes on the Water. A number of them work with kid fish groups. And so each of them has their own little piece. 3 or 4 of them actually own their own shops. And where I see the major difference is social media has played a lot of it because, some people will grab a product and start promoting it, which is great. It helps the brand, whatever brand it happens to be. And then that company may reach out and say, okay, you can now put my logo on a shirt, or so you're a Prostaffer. And some of those companies, they may have 300, 400, 200, whatever the number is,
right,
Prostaffers, which is good on a social media basis. Don't get me wrong. But I think personally for what I want to see with YakGear and our brand ambassadors, it sort of dilutes the importance of it. And then, I've seen over the years where someone was this brand ambassador or this Prostaffer, and then he jumped over to this company, and then he jumped over to this company, and then he jumped over to this company. And for me, that is not someone who really deserved to be truly Prostaff in the beginning. We don't pay our brand ambassadors. We've been asked that numerous times. We do have some of them that do really good video work, and we pay them for their videos. But we typically just give them a really nice discount on merchandise. They will get samples of products to test for us. But overall, I really enjoy conversing with our brand ambassadors. We have a private Facebook page, and we really enjoy, bantering back and forth. They always share their pictures of what they catch. So for me, it was important to make it special that you're a YakGear brand ambassador.
Okay. And then now I'm going to go to Micah. So, Micah, you were a part of this, obviously, with Bill, to help, build this up. So what mutated, the ambassador for the sport, right, that guy, to more of what we're seeing now on social media that people are saying? Like, what changed? What do you think it was, being a guy that built it up?
Well, being a guy that was a part of it, was a part of that process, and now, being on the outside looking in, still involved in the marine industry, but kind of in a different role. To me, what Bill describes is what ideally every marketing director wanted from a pro staff or from a brand ambassador, someone who's in their little area, is just kind of promoting the sport, is being, and then I think the problem, the disconnect here is it's really just a marketing failure of companies because it shouldn't be up to the consumer to decide who's who. It's really kind of a marketing failure on the part of companies in the kayak industry. Is you've got the general public that doesn't understand the difference between these guys. These guys have all labeled themselves pro staff, and pro staff has become a thing of importance. And now, instead of this guy just being an ambassador for the sport and being helpful and friendly to people and showing up at different, events or whatever, and just kind of being a good guy who happens to like your stuff and you're kind of giving a kickback for that, it's changed into an item where now it's this important thing. And I think part of that is just kayak angling. Kayak angling has just grown exponentially in the llast decade. I mean, right. I've known you for 6-7 years. We've talked about these tournaments, and I was there at some of the very beginning tournaments, and to see the process and the struggle. We've seen it grow from a little thing that some people were interested in to getting major coverage in magazines and in newspapers. And you walk into ICAST, and there's kayaks lining the aisles. The biggest sport fishing show in the world. I was just at the Miami Boat Show a few weeks here, and it was the exact same thing. So part of it is kayak angling has exploded. And as
right.
people have jostled to kind of get their space, we've seen people come up over the last decade or so. You had the old guard, you had people like Jim Sammons who've done this for a long time and had made a living. And as it began to become more viable, more and more people begin to throw their hat into the ring of maybe I could also make a living off of this sport. And so you've kind of got this, the consumer doesn't understand the difference between the guy who's getting 20% off in a T-shirt and the guy who's getting a check. And I think that's
right.
just a marketing failure on our part as the industry, as setting the industry, and it's become a thing where it's got so much self-importance attached to it, so there's something to be said for that. I mean, there's a lot of different angles as to kind of why it's changed. And it's media and marketing as we know it. Media and marketing are changing daily. You've got social media influencers on Instagram who are making thousands of dollars a month off posts, and I think the sports world, the sportsman's world, whether it be hunting or fishing or kayak fishing, whatever it may be, everyone's they want a piece of that pie now. And so it's changed a little bit.
To just chime in a little bit, I feel that the only thing that scares me about it of what it's become, because I agree with Bill, in the beginning, even when I started, I knew I had some good friends that were basically ambassadors, and they were top-notch guys. They did everything that I don't know if it was because it was still really, really new. I'm talking 2008. And these guys were literally ambassadors, and what I've seen, the only thing that kind of worries me is if it gets saturated enough to where there's so many of these guys and they're all the biggest and baddest and most badass and the best, and they're all the best. And it just gets to a point where there's so much infighting because they're all the best and they all start arguing. And we all see it all the time on social media, these guys eating each other. And to me, that's what'll kill it is these guys literally eating each other. What do you think, Bill?
It seems like there's a little bit of tastes great, less filling going on. There's an argument that doesn't need to be there. Whereas if everybody would just work together and just, I drive a Ford truck, you drive a Chevy truck, but hey, we're truck drivers.
Right.
That part of it doesn't really matter. When I work with, we have customers that come in occasionally, and they'll have a competitor's product on, and it's not like I try to take it off to put our product on. I just work around it with other products that we have that'll complement it. And in saying that, that's what I want our brand ambassadors to do as well, is just to share what we do, share our ideology of growth in the sport. If 5 years from now the sport is 20% bigger than it is now, I know that YakGear, Railblazer, Backwater paddles, that will sell more products because there's more people in the sport based on what we do. So, as you mentioned, which is true, there seems to be a lot of this back and forth these days between people that mine's better and, and all this other stuff. And I think every company spends a lot of time developing products, and they think that it's, the best thing out there. And that should be respected as well.
Do you think it should be more monitored by, the owners of these companies to maybe kind of chime in? And because let's face it, like we're all on social media, and this industry in general, all three of us know it's pretty much a small community, right? So with brand ambassador saying, I almost think that we should maybe use that instead of Prostaff and maybe that will separate it. You know what I mean? Like you got the Prostaff guys who are causing all this stir, and then you got the brand ambassadors, and I almost feel that maybe we should do a hashtag for that, right? Right, Micah?
Right.
But
no matter what you call it, it just comes down to a level of, that there's just certain guys that they're somehow, some way getting a level of self-importance off of a discount on plastic. And,
right.
Then they're taking that to social media. They're taking that to wherever they want. I think it's more, it's just kind of, it's about the selection of the individual, like what Bill's saying is exactly what every marketing director dreams of. It just comes down to selection of the individual. And in as small of a community as this is, there should be a little more accountability. It's not as easy to be anonymous in our community. There should be a little more accountability to people that are just blatantly, stirring up trouble, just blatantly causing issues.
Right. And Bill, what do you think?
Yeah,
go on.
Well, I'd like to think that every, obviously our brand ambassadors represent YakGear, and
sure.
which is a very passionate subject for me because it's been been my livelihood the last 13 years. And
your baby.
so I would like to think my brand ambassadors represent me as well. So we have conversations, and it's not like we do it every day, but, once every 2-3 months, something has come up, and I'll just try to clarify and of who we are and what we do and what my expectation is. And I think for any business owner, it doesn't matter what the sport or what the business is, but if you have people or employees that represent your company, you want them to represent your company and that you want them to represent you. And if you have to sit there and sort of, hide a little bit oh my God, I can't believe they said that, then you need to rethink what you're doing with that group of people. But I think it's important that, the brand ambassadors, I can comfortably say that I have had conversations with every single one of our brand ambassadors. And I would love for any of them, when they come down to the Houston area, they are more than welcome to stay with us. I would love to, when I travel places, take them out to lunch and dinner. Our brand ambassadors, when they do shows for us, we compensate them to do those shows. And if the opportunity is there for me to get to these shows, then I'm there as well. But I generally like our brand ambassadors. I just think they're great people overall.
And I think that's important because I feel that what you said, Bill, you put a lot of love into, to you, it's all one entity, right? It's your business, it's your baby, and these people represent you. And I think that's what we need. That's what's important. And I just feel that, because I feel the same way about Extreme. I've seen stuff said, I've seen stuff in person, I've been called every name in the book, but you fight for your baby, and you want it to be as professional as possible. Micah, I want you to chime in here. Like, what do you think we can do to kind of, I don't know if it's protect the young guys going into the sport, maybe get them in a different type of group? Should I create a different kind of group, like a forum or something? How can we get these younger generation kids more involved again?
I mean, we've all seen it. We see a guy post up on Texas Kayak Fishermen, for example, a Facebook group with, tens of thousands of followers. And he's asking advice between two kayaks. And he names the two kayaks, and he gives the reason he likes those two kayaks, and he gets the first 27 comments are the name of another kayak. And so we've all seen that stuff. And I think it always has to fall back on the companies. The companies have to take charge of this, and they have to understand the problem that they've created in the sport. And that's not to say that the pro staffers are without blame, but that kind of also goes back to picking better people. These guys are, I think it's hilarious. And we've got engineers and doctors who have somehow found importance off of being, getting 20% off a rod holder or a kayak or a reel or whatever. And they've kind of lost all sight of that. So that's maybe just someone who found their self-importance in something completely different. So I think if the industry wants to go forward, and if you've got people like Bill and all the other owners in this industry, if they want the sport to grow by 20%, then they've got to realize that they as a company have to make it fun again. They as a company have to make it enjoyable again. And there's a place for tournament fishing. There's a place for, being competitive. I'm a competitive asshole 99% of the time. There's a place
Micah.
for that. But, there's a place for that for sure. But I think, I think it's just the structuring of that and how it's being sold to the public is difficult. And now, there's no way these kids are going to join up a specific thing for them. They're already in that community. They're already looking at people. They're already being exposed to the nastiness. They're already being exposed to whatever's going on. But the reality is they don't know who's bought and who's not, because there's so many pro staffers out there. You don't know who's legit and who's just going to tell you straight up this product or this product. And
that's a very good point.
That's a problem. That's a problem. I mean, I watched it with my own eyes. I watched a guy go into a forum and bash old school OG guys for a product that they were using, touting a product that he was supposedly using, but I knew for a fact he hadn't actually ever put his hands on yet. And he's bashing old school guides, people who had been around the block, who had known a little bit, and he's going toe-to-toe with these guys over products he's never actually physically even touched. So the reality is part of it comes from, it goes back to the marketplace in the industry. the industry's booming. There's now a way to make money off the industry, perhaps,
Sure.
as an individual. We've got the new crop coming up. We've got new entrepreneurs making products that feed into it. But at the same time, it's a real small ring. There's only a handful of guys that can make a living off of it. But you got a lot more guys who think they should be the one. And so
Right.
It gets nasty sometimes. It gets nasty. And I think it's got to come down to the businesses and the owners. And I think you got to kind of look and see if, does a traditional staffer, does it even make sense in today's marketing world when it comes to, could you just pay a video guy for a video on Facebook and, send a free hat to someone to send you a picture that you can use on social media? So I think there's a little bit of a discussion that's got to happen. And I think people that are in the know and that make the decisions, I'm not anymore, but I think people that are in the know and make the decisions, they've got to take ownership of it, because otherwise the sport may not grow that 20-30% they want over the next 5 years.
And I will chime in, because I do want to have Bill come back on that, but I do want to say something real quick too. Is I feel that having these brand ambassadors fishing tournaments like mine, and I'm not just saying that. I'm saying fishing a fun event, a professional event like mine, would be good for these guys, because the one thing I think that's really taken my tournament to another level has been the characters that fish it. I think we could all agree there. I think it's, when you think of my tournament, you think of this, John McCroyd, all these guys that have caught, record-breaking wahoo, Sims and Nelly, and no matter what he did, you got the good guys, you got the bad characters, you got the competitors. Like, it's the characters, it's the all the magazines that all these guys have been in from the events. It gives them notoriety, right? It gives them to the young guys who read my magazine or another magazine and see these guys' faces. That's what builds characters, just like a comic book, right? Just like any book, and they want to be like that guy. And I've talked to plenty of kids like that. Trust me, me and Nelly always butt heads, but I'll tell you what, a bunch of young kayakers want to be Brian Nelly when they fish offshore, So it's like, and he started with our events. So I feel, Bill, what do you think about that? These do your guys fish like big tournaments and all that? And what do you think about what Micah said?
No, I agree totally with that. And I would say that probably 98% of our ambassadors fish tournaments. But when they're out there, and in talking with them, they'll tell you that they are competitive with themselves first, and then with the person that's next to them second. And I think that's an important thing to remember, because they're trying to get better at their sport. They're using better equipment. They're trying to read more, learn more, use more electronic devices. If a depth finder will do A over B, then I'm going to do that one. But, once again, when you make your personal choices, you don't go back and bash somebody else.
Exactly.
And you never know when that somebody else may be a product, they come out with a new product, you go, oh my God, I actually like that. Well, how do you feel about it? I've driven Ford trucks for 25 years. I do not get on forums and bash Chevy and Dodge. I think they make cool vehicles. I just choose to drive a Ford. And so, in saying that, it's the same thing that, I enjoy trucks. Other people enjoy cars. And I think that's one of the things that we've lost sight of in some ways, is that there are some people out there in the industry that they think, in an effort to make themselves look bigger, they try to tear down other people, and that's not the right way to do it.
I think in general, all of us, the guys that have been in this and that, we all know each other, need to kind of rally around and maybe, I don't know what to do yet. Bill, I've told you about it. Micah, we've talked about it, I don't know what to do, but there's got to be something to where, again, I keep going back to the kids because it just bugs me. I'm having a kid of my own coming soon, and I know, that these kids would love it, like especially the offshore. They love it once they do it. They just got to get over that hurdle, and I feel the character element, the heroes, the guys that catch these monster fish, they see them on magazines and all that. I feel that separates, that's a brand ambassador, because all those guys are sponsored, but to me, that's an ambassador, he doesn't even have to win the tournament. These guys, they get 10th place and they're still in the magazine, and you see that, you get to meet these people. They're at the shows. I don't know. I just think that's really important for these young kids coming up. And Bill, what do you think about these young kids coming up? What's a way we can maybe go around, stuff that we've been seeing?
There's more and more. There's kids fish groups that are popping up, around the country. There's a young lady down by us named Jennifer Nolan, and she started up a program maybe I think 3 years ago. And when she has a get together, there's 20 some odd kids with parent that come and fish her events, and more of that, and looking in the eyes of the little ones and just seeing their expression. If everybody goes back and remembers that first bass or the first crappie or that first sheephead that they caught, and remember that feeling, the tug, and how you felt, and your parent or whoever was with you, helping you bring that fish in and putting their arm around your shoulder and congratulating you, that just says a whole lot. It doesn't matter what rod and reel you're holding. It doesn't matter what lure you have. It's the experience. It's that feeling. It's the emotion. I remember sitting in an aluminum 12-foot boat with my dad in upstate New York with little Zebco rod and reels picking up sunfish. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. And my question becomes, are you doing that and sharing that with somebody to get them involved in our sport?
Micah, what do you think? I mean, we got 6 minutes here, guys. Micah, what's your closing statement on this? What do you think should happen?
I think that's the key. I think that's, the deal is that for whatever reason, the market was so small and so competitive that companies felt like a Prostaff ambassadorship where you were touting their product was important. But I think we're beginning to see, as the industry continues to grow, that we remember the times we did it ourselves. So remember the fun times we had as kids. And I think that's what we've got to provide to the next generation. Companies have got to get away from paying money and giving discounts to an individual so they can do something if they're just posting a post on social media. If you want to do that, if you want to pay an influencer to do that, pay an influencer to do that. If you want to pay a videographer to make a video, do that. But stop giving away money to people who are just mean and vindictive online, and they would have no lives tomorrow if Instagram shut down. We got to get back to sponsoring and making it a marketing focus of companies to sponsor them, to do it, to give them what they need to do their jobs, or to chase their passion in helping kids. And as a company, you've got to also market that, and you've got to push that forward. The fun of the sport, what it's all about. When it all comes to the shop, when it's all said and done, when all the chips are on the table, it's still an outdoor sport. We do this because it's in our blood, and it's what we grew up with, or it's what we've experienced. There's something religious about that experience, being on the water and catching fish and sharing a beer with friends. There's something about that. I think that's what we've got to get back to as a sport, and chase those and market those moments, as opposed to, who's the next so-and-so, and who's got the next greatest product, and who has the most, logos on their jersey. That's what's ridiculous. Right. It's people that are just making good posts. And if you want that, fine. That's marketing, that's advertising, just like buying an ad in old movies used to be. Pay an influencer to make a post. Cool. But we got to stop marketing heavy on these guys and start marketing on the people that are actually growing the sport and actually investing back into it.
I like that a lot. And Bill, what's your closing statement with it?
Just pay it forward.
I like it.
It's pretty simple. I mean, it's just share what you know and your love with other people. That's the bottom line. So,
I think we all agree this sport has grown super fast, but it's still a baby. It's still an infant. And I think to get it to the next level that I believe it can get to, and I'm talking like NFL-style level. Now, I'm an event guy, obviously, so that's why I say that. But to get it to that level, I feel that it's potentially there, and I think, obviously, you know, just like in everything, it's going to be hard. There's going to be hurdles, but I like what you said, Bill, with, you know, the brand ambassadors. I think we take it back to that. People who are influential in the sport of kayak fishing, or fishing in general, really. So, listen, guys, I really appreciate both you calling in. Micah, you're the man. And Bill, you're the captain, man. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Joe.
All right, thanks.
And Micah, if these guys want to find you on Instagram, what's your Instagram?
It's just at Micah in the Wild.
All right. And Bill, if they want to find you, where can they find you?
Bill Bragman. It's real easy.
My man. All right, guys. So we'll talk to you later, and thanks so much for calling in.
You got it. Be good, Joe.
All right. Thank
Bye-bye,
you, guys.
Micah.
Guys, we love you. We'll talk to you soon. We're still waiting for our little place to get back into. So when I upload this on YouTube, for our fans on YouTube, it'll be a whole bunch of collage of pictures and really cool stuff. So we'll get this edited and up there as soon as possible. And don't forget, you could sign up for the SummerSlam. That's June 22nd. And we also got our Peacock tournament coming up at the end of the year in the last weekend of September. So you can go to extremekayakfishing.com and check all that stuff out. And you guys have an awesome day, and see you later.
This has been the Kayak Fishing Raw Podcast.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.